Down goes Andrade, rolling back out to the floor. And there's what I was talking about. Red will fly. He didn't get all of it as much as he wanted. If it were up to him, he'd be in the 5th row right now, but it was enough to take Andrade down to the ground. Have a seat. Oh, look, there's Head. We've got a cameo here at the Globe. Look at this. Head making a return. This crowd wants Head. And Red just gave Andrade Head. And he dropped it. I can't believe I just said those words, by the way. But hey, it's House of Glory. You never know what you're going to see. Red going up top. Big missile drop kick there by Red. Takes down Andrade. 2 count only.
Today was Championship Wednesday on Dynamite. We had 4 title matches on this show. We had the AEW World title. We had the AEW Women's Tag Team titles. We had the AEW International Championship. Actually, that's 3 championships. I said 4. Did they have 4? I don't know. We had tons of championship matches that were announced in advance of this show, and it felt like this was some sort of special episode. But they really just decided, Tony did, to load it up with a bunch of title matches. So that's what they did here tonight. No big title changes to talk about here, but we had Darby Allin putting his title on the line in the main event against Brody King. And these two have a history together. Usually it's not very kind to Darby. They get in the ring together. Darby gets his ass handed to him. Tonight was no different, nor was the outcome a big surprise. I've been saying this for a few weeks now. Ever since they put the belt on Darby, it's become pretty clear that he's going to be defending this championship every single week through the end of the month, through the end of May, until we get to Double or Nothing. And then at that point, he will lose the championship, one would think, back to MJF. But until we get there, we're going to have title defense after title defense after title defense. And that will play into the story, I'm sure, when he ultimately loses the championship, because what is he doing? It's the Orange Cassidy story. When Orange Cassidy was the international champion and he was defending every week on TV and every body part, right, was just hurting him. And this man looked like he was 80 years old walking around, right? How long could this guy go defending this championship at this breakneck pace? But I think they're going to condense the story and basically tell the same story here with Darby. So that's what it looks like we're going to be getting. We did have a TNT Championship match at the beginning of the show with the Jet, Kevin Knight, putting his title on the line against MJF. Now, when we found out about this match last week, if you remember, Darby had made a comment. He said, I'm not giving you a rematch. You want a rematch for the World Championship, you're going to have to put something on the line. Right? That's what he told Darby. And my first instinct was, okay, they're putting the TNT title on MJF, and I have no idea why they would do this. Because what does MJF realistically have to give Darby or to put up in a match with Darby that Darby would really give a shit about, right? Darby doesn't care about the Dynamite diamond ring. He doesn't care about the Burberry scarf. He doesn't care about the fancy cars. They're going to put this TNT title on this fucking guy. And we're going to have a champion versus champion match at the pay-per-view. And I really hope that doesn't happen. Thankfully, they didn't do that. That was the thing I was happiest with tonight, is the fact that they did not put the TNT title on MJF. I was glad that those fears were unfounded. But what we ended up with was a hell of an opening match and a hell of a closing match. They started and they ended in the best possible way because you had two matches that delivered, and we got some other stuff in between that was kind of a mixed bag. But I was really impressed with that opening match. I was really impressed, honestly, with the crowd tonight. Now, they also had Cope and Christian on this show. Very rare that we see Adam Copeland and Christian Cage wrestling together on television. In fact, I can't remember the last time that they had a tag team match together on TV. So we had that as well. They had over 5,200 people in the building tonight. They were in Fairfax, Virginia for the show. And that sounded very high to me. When you hear about these Dynamite crowds and the Dynamite attendance. So I jumped on WrestleTix before. I wanted to see how many people were going to be in the building because I'm watching this opening match and it's super fucking loud in there. And like the people are into it. And I'm like, okay, I wonder how many people are there. Tonight's Dynamite crowd was their largest domestic attendance for a Dynamite since Grand Slam in September of 2024. It beat every domestic Dynamite that they did in attendance in all of 2025. That's pretty crazy. And they were in Virginia, so they didn't even have Hangman there. You would think maybe they'd be promoting his return or something on this show. He wasn't even on the show. But good for them. I mean, by AEW standards in terms of Dynamite attendance, that's a fucking great number. And you would hope that they would be able to build on that. But what it tells you is that they're doing something right now. Something that they weren't doing 6 months ago. Something that they weren't doing 9 months ago or 12 months ago. So what is it? What is it that is leading to them seeing these increases in the houses from week to week, right? Something is resonating. Something is clicking. They have a lot of issues still that they're very much, it's an imperfect, product, but they're doing something that is at least keeping people tuned in and keeping people who are watching the show, keeping their attention and saying, hey, you know what? I'm interested in this. I think it all goes back to the world title scene. This has been the case since MJF had won the championship back. There was a clear focus around the AEW world title in that main event scene, which was and still is very, very strong. So now MJF doesn't have the belt. That's only temporary. Darby has the belt, but you got MJF, you got Darby. They're roping Kevin Knight into this. Kenny Omega had his shot at the championship. Brody King has had a couple of shots now at the championship this year. That should be his last for a while. And so on and so on, right? Swerve Strickland wants the belt. Will Ospreay wants the belt. Jon Moxley, at some point, he'll probably want to get the belt back. Everybody wants to be the champion. And that's great because the title should be the focal point. The title should be the centerpiece of the show. And they have a very strong main event scene right now. I think that has a lot to do with this, renewed interest in the product. So hopefully they will continue to build on this and keep the focus on the championship and continue to cycle in, new challengers as we go along here. But yeah, how about that? Biggest U.S. Dynamite crowd in a very long time tonight. And kudos to that crowd too, because they were very loud and they were very energetic throughout the show. And in case you were wondering, completely off topic here, has nothing to do with AEW. But I did check in before I went live tonight. The Mets got crushed by the Nationals tonight. 14-2. They have now lost 16 of their last 19 games. They own the worst record in all of Major League Baseball. 10-20. The worst record in Major League Baseball, by the way, on the largest payroll, $330 million. I think I have the perfect sound effect for this.
You suck!
Welcome to your AEW Dynamite review. It is Wednesday, the final Wednesday here for the month of April. A big, big month of April that we have had here on the channel. April 29th, 2026. Yes, it is very brutal. What? It is, yes. I'm sorry to have to be the bearer of bad news, but I saw that before I went live. I said, well, I have to share this bit of information. Anyway, thank you for joining me here on a Wednesday night. Hit that subscribe button if you have not already done so. Hit that like button as well. Super chats are open. I don't know how many of them there will be tonight, but those of you who choose to support, you the man. I appreciate it very much, and I'll read your messages here in just a little bit. For those of you who may have missed it, I also want to remind you, because some people were asking me about it, if I was going to do it on the Sound Off this past weekend. I did do it the other day, a review with my thoughts on the Hulk Hogan Netflix docuseries. It is up right now here on this channel, about 30 minutes or so, so if you want to go check that out. That was uploaded yesterday, so please go ahead and do so. Leave some comments and let me know what you thought if you watched the docuseries. I'd be curious to get your feedback on that as well. Let's go ahead and spin the wheel here and see how many likes we need for Be the Booker tonight. Always very hit or miss on Wednesdays. Don't know if we're going to do it. Find out. Is that true? Virginia has only gotten a WWE event once since 2023. Maybe that's why it's hot. So your logic is that they're just starved for any wrestler? It's possible. It's possible. I don't know what the independent scene is like there. It's a good question. 400 likes. That's usually the standard here, so that's not too terrible. I still don't know that we're going to hit that, but if we hit 400 likes, we will do our Be the Booker segment a little bit later on. So there you go. I think we're right around 270-ish right now. So again, 400 is the goal. Let's get into the show here. It was good to see Taz back on commentary. He's been gone for a while. And so now he was back tonight with Excalibur and Tony Schiavone. And they had plenty of title matches to choose from tonight. They chose to open with the TNT Championship, with MJF challenging Kevin Knight for the TNT title. So right out of the gate, MJF goes at Knight right from the opening bell, sends him outside. So Knight mounted a comeback here, and he did this big drop kick into a kip up. And again, these people are going nuts for this guy, which is great to see. That's what you want to see, right? Because he's someone who's on the upswing. So they're going nuts for him here in Fairfax. And 3 or 4 different times, MJF rolled out of the ring. He almost did like the Orange Cassidy slow roll out of the ring to try to avoid some sort of move from Kevin Knight. And Knight was like, yeah, that's not going to work. And so each time he would do that, Knight ended up doing some sort of dive out of the ring. So the first time it was a slingshot crossbody, and then he hit a suicide dive. I think he did a somersault dive and then a springboard dive, and each time he just took this guy out outside the ring. But Knight sold a knee injury, landing on his feet, coming off the top rope at one point. So MJF targeted the knee. He caught Knight with a Panama Sunrise. I wonder who he learned that from. Knight landed his UFO splash a little while later, but was selling the knee. He couldn't make the cover in time. These fucking people in this crowd were losing their minds, trying to will him over to MJF to make this cover. And finally he did, but he had let too much time go by. So MJF was able to kick at it too. So MJF now goes and grabs the TNT title from ringside. And he brings it into the ring right in full view of the referee. And he teases that he's going to use it. Referee takes the belt away from him. And of course, this is his cue to pull out the Dynamite Diamond Ring. He's got a big fat smile on his face. Referee's attention is diverted here for a few moments. And as soon as MJF turns around, Kevin Knight drops down and he delivers a low blow. And then he cradles him into a pin and he pins MJF to retain the TNT Championship. And MJF sold this. He was in shock. His eyes were wide. He couldn't believe it. And then he chop blocked Knight as he was celebrating. And he was about to use the diamond ring when Darby Allin repelled from the ceiling. Like father, like son. And he lands and he unhooks himself and he gets in the ring and he grabs MJF, drops him with a scorpion death drop. So MJF, he crawls up the aisle to the stage and he's got a microphone. And he said the fans suck and he doesn't care about Kevin Knight. He wasn't even really trying in this match, so it doesn't really count. The only thing he cares about is his Triple B, and he wants his rematch. Give me my fucking rematch. And Darby tells him exactly what he told him last week. He goes, no. You get no rematch unless you put something on the line. So Darby says, if I make it past Brody King tonight, I think I know who deserves the next shot. And he looks over in the corner, and Kevin Knight is crouched in the corner, and he's staring at Kevin Knight. So Darby Allin is in the ring. MJF is in the aisleway. And here comes Brody King. And Brody King briefly gets up in MJF's face, and he continues walking towards the ring. And he gets inside. And he says he's got bad news for Darby. You're not going to survive tonight. And then he looks over at Kevin Knight and he tells him, I got some bad news for you too. Because next week, you're not going to be facing this guy. You're going to be facing me. And that's how they close things here. A little tease of the world title match coming up later on in the show. I'm very, very happy that they did not put that TNT title on MJF. I was convinced that that's where this was leading. And I just couldn't wrap my head around it because what sense would that even make? You know, it's twofold, really. Number one, if you're going to run back Darby and MJF, there's no need to have any other championship on the line. There's only one title that matters here. That's number one. Number two, you're giving this big push to Kevin Knight. Don't cut his legs off. You know what I mean? And I mentioned this last week. I did the same thing with Tommaso Ciampa when he first came in. He won the TNT title, didn't even last 2 weeks with it. Don't do the same thing to Kevin Knight. So I was very happy they didn't do that. And I also thought it was a very good match. But all this talk about you have to put something on the line. You have to put something on the line. And if it's not going to be another championship, what could he possibly put on the line? My guess is the only logical thing here is that as MJF sees Darby doling out these title matches and giving out these title matches like candy to different people every single week, everybody but him, it will continue to drive him over the edge, and he's going to get desperate. And the stipulation could very well be that he will put his career on the line. Or even something similar to the Hangman match, where it was like, if you don't win, you can never again challenge for the title. He may do the same thing. He may put his own career on the line in that regard and say, if I can't beat you, then I can't challenge for this championship again. That's probably the type of stipulation that we're looking at here. Because there just isn't anything else to me that really makes sense. So I would imagine that that's where this is all leading. As far as when we get the announcement of what that stipulation is, I don't know if it's next week or the week after. Again, Double or Nothing is May 24th, I believe, and it's not even May yet. So they still have a little bit of time. But I think it may be something along those lines. I'm not a fan of MJF losing so many matches. Okay, I know that that's probably a criticism that many of you have as well. He should not be losing constantly on television. They did the finish in a way that was designed to at least protect him because he got low blowed. Referee didn't see it. I actually like that aspect of it because this is the second time now that you've had a babyface. I always talk about dumb babyface syndrome in wrestling, right? There's so many dumb fucking babyfaces. WWE, AEW, it doesn't really matter, right? They don't learn from their mistakes. And they don't wear a protective cup, which MJF should probably start doing. So it's kind of nice that now the tables are turned, right? Darby knows all of this guy's tricks, and he threw it right back in his face when he won the title from him. That's what Kevin Knight did tonight. He knows what MJF does at the end of these matches, and so he gave it to him before he could do it to Kevin Knight, and he won. So MJF is kind of getting his comeuppance in that regard. All the shit that he usually does to other people, they're beating him to the punch and doing it to him. That's the story here. But we get the picture. Like, I don't need to see him lose again next week and the week after that. You know, I mean, again, you look at the year he's had so far. He got squashed by Brody King earlier this year, right back in January. He got squashed by Darby. Now he's lost to Kevin Knight. I know he can withstand it because he's MJF, so he's going to be okay. But, like, still, I would not be beating him like a drum. Hopefully this ends here, and this is not something that becomes a recurring theme on this show. But again, the match was great. The crowd was hot, and Kevin Knight is the real deal. The only thing with Kevin Knight, he just needs to work on his promos. That's more a product of just getting him in the ring with people like MJF and putting a mic in his hand and just giving him more opportunities to go out there and not just address the crowd, but just interact with other people on the mic. And I think the more they do that, the better he'll get. You know, the more comfortable he'll get at it. The in-ring stuff, I mean, the crowd is into him. When he's out there and he's wrestling, whoever, it doesn't matter who it is, they're behind him. You know, he's been someone who, if you watch these shows, you can tell Tony Khan is very high on him. If he's truly high on Kevin Knight, then just keep pushing him, right? Don't cut off his legs. Don't start beating him, or we start wondering, oh, you know, he's not on the show every week. Like, what he's doing with him now is great. You know, you're featuring him on the show. You're having him interact with some of your top names. This week it was MJF. Next week, he's going to be wrestling Darby Allin. And we know he's not going to win. So they're putting him in a situation where I was going to say he's going to lose. I mean, I suppose MJF could get involved, but he's not going to win. We know this. But they have him in the main event scene, which is a great place for him to be. Yeah, I said this earlier this year, coming out of the Continental Classic. This year for him should be what 2025 was for Kyle Fletcher. In Kyle Fletcher, they made a star. I'm not saying he's the biggest star in the company, but they took a guy who was part of a tag team and they turned him into a legitimate star for them in this company. They could do the same thing with Kevin Knight this year. They're well on their way. Just keep doing what you're doing. The fans have taken to him. They like him. He's super talented. So I like what they're doing with him right now. Hopefully they could just continue down that path. Jamie Hayter has been medically cleared. And so she was back in action tonight. Her and Alex Windsor back as a tag team against Emily J and Jordan Blade. This went about as long as you would expect it to. Brawling Birds, they made short work of these two women. They finished them off with their 2 birds, 1 stone. Not much else to say about this. It was a simple squash just to get them back in the win column. I still think that all roads lead to London and them winning the tag team titles there. I think that's where we end up with this. But whenever it actually happens, these two will be the ones to take the tag belts off of Megan Bayne and Alina Cross. I think Wembley would be the best place for it. Where else would the Brawling Birds win the tag team titles if not London? You got this big London show coming up in a few months. It just makes all the sense in the world. Backstage, Tekla was with Sky Blue. No Julia Hart. I don't know where she was. Tekla said, look, I wish I could stop calling people dumb bitches, but there's just too many in AEW for me to stop. That's like me on social media. There's a lot of dumb bitches on social media. And I don't mean women. I just mean dumb bitches. All over social media. And I would love to stop calling them dumb bitches, but there's just too many of them. I can't stop. I can't help myself. I can relate to Tekla. So Sky Blue said that she feels sorry for Persephone because she got misted last week by Julia, but it's the best thing that ever happened to her. So maybe it'll open her eyes. Tekla talked some shit about the Brawling Birds and said that one-on-one, she's everything. They are nothing. So stick to being a tag team. We got Kazuchika Okada defending the International Championship against Ace Austin here on this show. This is only the 7th title defense for Okada since he won that championship, and really his 7th title defense since Forbidden Door in August. And as far as Ace Austin is concerned, this is his 3rd match ever on Dynamite, and his run in this company only really goes back to like last summer. So since last August, same month, only his 3rd match here on this show. And he's wrestling Okada for the international title. Why? I have no fucking idea. But this is the match they announced. So Austin got a decent amount of shine here, but I mean, there were 2 standing drop kicks that Okada delivered. And the first one, was it the first one? It was the first one. He drop kicked him out of midair, but both of these drop kicks, like right in the kisser, I mean, he fucking wrecked him with these drop kicks. I mean, they were so perfect. So Austin ducked a Rainmaker attempt into a backslide for a very close 2 count. Okada got up. He hit that second drop kick, followed by a tombstone, and then finally a Rainmaker for the win. As Okada was celebrating with the various Callis family members in the ring, Konosuke Takeshita walks out on stage, which is where he stays. And he looks at Okada. Okada looks back at him, and Takeshita makes the belt gesture around his waist, signaling that he's coming for that international championship at Double or Nothing. I am looking very forward to this match. I've been waiting for the rematch since December. I'm glad we're finally getting it. I'm not convinced that that will be the end of it, or that Takeshita will even win the belt at Double or Nothing. I still think that Tony wants to do this match at Wembley Stadium. We may end up with 3 matches. Okada may win the first 2, and then Takeshita wins the title at the end of the summer. I could see that. I just want to see the match. No tournament. Just, you have an actual story here. These 2 men do not like each other. You put them in the ring, you ring the bell, you let them do their thing. Sleeper match of the night. Can't wait. Been waiting a long time for this match. We got a promo in the Wild West. If you remember, they've done these vignettes before for Bandito, which are very well done. Very cinematic in nature. And so we're back to the Wild West, and we see various patrons from the town saloon who are fleeing the saloon, and then this other man comes out. We can't see who it is, but he's got blood on his hands. And he's walking along, and he reaches down, he picks up a wanted poster for Bandito. And the camera pans up, and then we find out that it is Swerve Strickland. He's back. We haven't seen him in a while, although he was at the NFL draft. Earlier in the show, they actually showed photos of him at the NFL draft. He had a photo of Michael Keaton. Fucking Swerve and Batman. They took a... Where's Joseph Stewart when you need him? Swerve and Batman in the same photo together. So he is back. Prince Nana was there as well. Prince Nana handed him a lighter of some sort, and almost like a little mini blowtorch, and he kind of blew a hole in the middle of the wanted poster, and then he shot a death stare into the camera. It's good to have Swerve back on TV, but I think someone should probably tell Swerve that, again, Darby Allin is handing out world title matches like they're going out of style. You would think that if anything, Swerve would come back and would go and ask Darby for a championship match. Instead, he's coming after Bandito for reasons that are unexplained. I can't wait for that promo to find out why he's going after Bandito. But even if he had a good reason to go after Bandito, I don't know why he wouldn't go after Darby, other than they obviously don't want him challenging Darby right now for the belt. But it just defies all logic. This man's giving out title matches every week. Why would Swerve not be the first man in line? Right? We know the title is so important to him. Hangman can't wait in line because he can't challenge for the title anymore. Swerve can. But evidently he's going after Bandito. I do know this. Swerve against Bandito is going to be a great addition to that Double or Nothing card. That's another match that I very much would like to see. Going to be a great match. Just wondering why he's choosing to go after this man. This man is not... Actually, he is a champion. He's got the wrong belt, though. He's the Ring of Honor World Champion. Is Swerve going after the Ring of Honor World title? Why? Why would he? He picked the wrong belt. Hey, Butter, you're welcome. Buttercream, you're welcome. I can't have buttercream anymore. You all can get creamed. I can't do that anymore. We recapped some footage here from Collision. Because if you remember on Dynamite last week, the Death Riders kidnapped Will Ospreay. We never found out what happened to him. You have to tune into Collision to find out. So on Collision, there was a vignette where Moxley is sitting in a chair. The Death Riders are there. Ospreay is sitting in a chair. And Moxley proposes. He made a proposition to Ospreay that he wanted to help make him the most dangerous version of himself that he has ever seen. He wants to help him. It's like he wants to mentor him. And so that was the gist of it. He had kicked the Death Riders out. He laid down, face down on the ground, left a chair there and told Ospreay, do what you got to do. And Ospreay picked up the chair. He was kind of hesitating. And that was the end of the vignette. So we don't know what happened there. So this was the follow-up. So they cut to the back somewhere. And the Death Riders are just sort of training. They're in like a hallway or something. And Ospreay shows up. It's like he's showing up at the dojo. He walks in and Moxley goes over to him and he says, did you get cleared? And Ospreay says, No, I didn't. But he goes, it's not stopping me from going to Japan. Me and my boys have a big title match coming up. Moxley said, I like that. It shows loyalty. So he tells Ospreay, I should mention this. So Pac is standing there, and Pac is just stone-faced, right? Because he doesn't clearly approve of any of this. He doesn't like Will Ospreay. Just a blank expression on his face. And Moxley is looking at Pac, and he poked him in the stomach like the fucking Pillsbury Doughboy to try to get him to crack. And Pac is like, what the fuck are you doing? I thought that was kind of amusing. So Moxley tells Ospreay, here's what you need to do. You need to drop everything that clouds you, all of this, everything that clouds your vision, everything that makes you see things that aren't there, whatever pulls at your heartstrings, the anger that burns a hole in your stomach. Drop all of that excess baggage because we don't need it. It says Ospreay's feelings about Moxley, drop it. Moxley doesn't promise miracles, but when he promises something, he sees it through until the very end. All he asks for is the same in return. And so Ospreay agrees to this. He agrees to these terms. And then he asks, so where's the ring? There's no ring. Claudio takes it. It's actually kind of a weird ending here because Moxley says, no, there is no ring. The implication is that they're just going to start like training and rolling around on the floor right where they are. But he goes, there's no ring. And Claudio at that moment takes his shirt off. And then at that point, Moxley acknowledges the camera and he says, no, Like we're not showing this, right? And that's where it cuts off. But it's kind of weird. Like, no, there's no ring here. And then the last thing we see is Claudio taking his shirt off. It's like, what are they about to do here? What exactly does this session involve here? I don't know, because it ended there and they cut away. I got to tell you, you know my thoughts on the Death Riders. The Death Riders, it's just such a weird fucking group. They have been through a lot of transformations, ups and downs. The best thing is that they got the world title away from them and they're not carrying it around in a briefcase anymore, so that's good. I am stunned that they are still together. I thought by now that they would have split them up. It kind of felt like there was a way to tell that story. Tony didn't want to tell that. Actually, Moxley probably didn't want to tell that story because I'm sure Moxley has basically creative control and creative carte blanche over this whole thing. I wouldn't be surprised if he's basically booking his own stuff. And so the Death Riders live on. And Moxley, for a while there, was a babyface and being cheered like a babyface, and the other members weren't. And then Will Ospreay came back, and all of a sudden Moxley was back to acting like a heel. And back and forth we go, and back and forth. I'm like, what's going on here? But Moxley wrestles Ospreay and beats him. And I look at this and I go, okay, I see the vision. Because if the vision is Will Ospreay winning the world title this year, then it's going to happen in August. So how do you get there? Because the Owen, you got to remember, the All-In show in Texas last year was in July. This year, it's about a month and a half later. Maybe 6 weeks. So the Owen probably is not going to begin until, it'll be after Double or Nothing, most likely. What do you do with Will Ospreay in the meantime? What kind of story do you want to tell with Will Ospreay before he punches his ticket to the main event of All In? They have chosen to tell the story of his neck, because every time he's in the ring, it's all about the neck, and he's got the tape all over the neck, and he's going to nearly kill himself. In every single match, he gets dropped on his head. They overdo it a bit. But it's the story of perseverance, right? He went in there and he lost to Jon Moxley. The guy that he wanted revenge on, he fucking lost. And I said, okay, when it comes time for the Owen, the finals of the Owen, it's going to be Will Ospreay and Jon Moxley. And so when Ospreay finally gets that win, the very next match we see him in is going to be challenging for the World Championship. So now they're doing this almost like a little side quest now, where he's joining, in effect, the Death Riders. But obviously he's not joining as a full-fledged member. But that's basically the story they're telling here. And I'm watching this and I'm like, is it like a Stockholm syndrome type thing where it's like he's bonding with his captors? He was literally kidnapped on the show last week. Like they grabbed him and they took him away. He was kidnapped. And now he's agreeing to their terms and he's going to work with them. He's going to show up for training sessions. And it's a little strange, but I'm intrigued. I'll say that because they're telling an actual story here. They're trying to tell an actual story here to build up Ospreay that much more going into All In. My whole theory about this still stands. I still think at the end of all of this, like the ultimate final test that this man will pass is that he will beat Jon Moxley. Jon Moxley, it's like Jon Moxley has found a bird and the bird's wing is broken. And so now he has to nurse this bird back to health. And then once the bird is all nursed back to health 100%, the bird can fly once again, right? Will Ospreay is the wounded animal that Jon Moxley is going to now try to heal. Now, why Moxley cares, what is his motivations for doing so, he hasn't said. But I don't hate what they're doing here. I think it's kind of interesting. I still stand by what I said, though. I still think at the end of all this, Ospreay's going to beat him. And I think when he does, Moxley is going to look him in the eye, and it's going to be a matter of respect. It's like, okay, my job here is done. My job here was to bring out the best version of Will Ospreay. I've done my job. Now you can go on and win the world title. And that's where I think ultimately the story is going. actual Death Rider stuff that isn't death on television. They're telling an actual story here, which is something that, a lot of people complain about. Like, there's not enough story on these shows, which is not entirely true. Sometimes they say, oh, there's no story. And I mean, they tell their own kind of version of stories. You can't say there's no stories on the show. You could say that there's no great stories on the show. I mean, that's fine if that's how you feel. But in this case, at least they're trying to tell some sort of story between these two. It's not just putting the rematch together for the sake of doing the rematch. We'll see where it goes. I don't know if they're going to do something at Double or Nothing. I don't know if they're going to do something, again, wait until the Owen kicks in and do it there. It almost feels like Double or Nothing would be too soon for them to kind of be on opposing sides again. We'll see where the story goes. It's intriguing, at least. Can't say that all of it makes entirely too much sense, but by the end of it, maybe it will. I want to see where it goes. Adam Copeland, Christian Cage, rare television match. They were in action against RPG Vice, Trent Beretta and Rocky Romero. FTR and Stokely Hathaway, they came out before the match to observe. The heels went after Christian's bad forearm, but I have no idea why RPG Vice needed this much offense. I mean, when they were getting the heat on Christian, I mean, it was just going on and on and on. And I'm like, man, this is going on for way too long here. You're giving these guys a little too much offense, I think. So in the middle of this match, the conglomeration suddenly appeared in the front row. We saw Orange Cassidy, and we saw Roderick Strong, and we saw Kyle O'Reilly. And this was all unbeknownst to Stokely Hathaway. So Stokely sees them, and he takes a swing. He missed Cassidy, who threw popcorn at him. The conglomeration FTR, they brawl through the crowd and out of the arena. So they're out of the picture now. So the heels worked over Christian for, again, way too long, until Copeland got the hot tag. He dropped Beretta with an impaler for a near fall. Cage and Romero, they spilled out of the ring. Inside the ring, Beretta leapfrogged a spear attempt by Copeland, tried to pin him with his foot on the ropes. The referee actually caught him for a change. Trent was arguing with Rick Knox. He turned around into a spear, and Cope and Christian, they pick up the win. So after the match, Christian brought a chair into the ring, and he stomps on it to break off the bottom bar. And he gives it to Copeland with the idea that he wants him to use it on Trent in a crossface. And so he does. He puts Trent in a crossface with the bar across his mouth. And Christian on the microphone is telling, say the words. Say the words. And Beretta starts to scream out loud, I quit, I quit. A little hint of what's to come at Double or Nothing in the I Quit match between Cope and Christian and FTR. That was really the whole point of the match. They really just wanted that one moment at the end. And Copeland, at that point, he's outside the ring now. He's staring at the tag team belts, which they had left behind. They're laying on the announce desk. And he put a popcorn bucket over his head. He wore it like a crown for some reason. He was out there having fun. Old bucket head over here. I mean, look, the match was solid. It was fine. Nothing terribly exciting here. Again, I think RPG Vice went on offense for a little too long in this match, but it was okay. Not lighting my world on fire. I can't lie. After the break, Renee was in the back to interview Chris Jericho. I will point out to you that Renee did all of the backstage interviews throughout the entire show. From the opening one earlier in the night, she was losing her voice. I don't know why they could not substitute somebody else in there for at least some of these segments. This poor woman did all of the backstage segments on this show as she was losing her voice, except in this one segment here, because she was in the back with Chris Jericho, who was not actually there tonight in Fairfax. He's actually here in New York City. He's filming something television related, some TV show. I don't know what it is. But he was not at Dynamite. But it was very funny because magically in this one segment, which totally didn't get recorded last week, Renee's voice was okay. She sounded normal. She sounded human here in this segment. But then when they went back to her in like the later segment, she lost her voice again. So, but here she had her voice. And she was asking Jericho if Ricochet's Rico Salt, his version of the Lion Salt, is in fact an improved version of Jericho's Lion Salt. So Jericho started to speak. Ricochet and the Gates of Agony, they showed up. And they attacked Jericho. So Ricochet asked Jericho, is this what you want? Is this what you want? Jericho told him to eat shit and then called him bald. And so Ricochet tore Jericho's shirt. Gates of Agony, they ran Jericho into a nearby equipment case. Ricochet asked Jericho if he thought he was being funny, and then he teased doing a Rico Salt onto Jericho. He actually leapt over Jericho, landed on his feet, and then told him, you're not even worth it. And he walked away, and the parting shot was Jericho laying on the ground. Yes, Jericho was not there tonight. So they at least found a way to get him on the show. I think Jericho's new gimmick is that basically like he's a smart guy. And I think if he wants to curry favor with the audience, what better way to do that than by having him go out there and lose all of his first matches and get his ass kicked every week and build up sympathy for people to want to see Jericho go out there and win. And it seems like also they're building an entire storyline around the Lion Salt, which is a move that he's used in every single match. It's a throwaway move. It's a setup move. He's used it in every match going back 30 years. And they seem to be building to this big moment where when he hits the Lion Salt again, people are supposed to go crazy for it. We'll see. We'll see if it works. But yeah, watch Jericho consistently lose to the point where the fans want to see him win. Smart. Very smart. Megan Bayne and Lena Cross defended the women's tag team titles against Hikaru Shida and Kris Statlander. This is clearly building to Shida turning on Statlander, or at least, her not realizing what Shida is up to. They said Mina Shirakawa is trying to tell Kris Statlander, you can't trust her, you can't trust her. I could see them roping Willow Nightingale into this somehow and working the TBS title into this. So the first half of this match was not good. The first half of this was very rough. At one point, Megan Bayne fell down. I didn't see why. She just, I think, lost her balance. I think she tried to pick one of them up and she just fell down. And that was sort of appropriate considering how the first half of this match they just did not seem to be on the same page. They weren't even working off the same book. It was very clunky. It was very rough. The second half was better than the first, at least. I don't know what happened here at the beginning of the match. Shida wanted to use her kendo stick, though. And Statlander grabbed it and said, no. She wouldn't let her use it. So Shida, so now they're in the ring together. Shida kicks her in the gut. And she suplexes her into the corner. It looks like she's turning on Statlander. And the crowd started to react as if, holy shit, she's turning on this woman right now. She suplexes her into the corner. And Bayne had been laid out, I think, across the middle rope in the corner. She was on the middle rope. And so she was really just suplexing Statlander into Megan Bayne. She was using her partner as a weapon. And Statlander gets up and she gets up in her face like, what the fuck? And Sheeta's like, no, go after her. Stay on top of her. So it looked like this was a turn. This was not a turn, not yet. Anyway, late in the match, Statlander stacked both women up, went up top, hit a 450 splash onto the pile for a 2 count. Statlander went for the Saturday Night Fever. Shida, though, made a blind tag, hitting a Meteora off the top and then a Falcon Arrow for a 2 count. Statlander came in. She got wiped out with a flying boot. Bayne and Cross then demolished Shida. I mean, they slammed her down hard with their double choke slam, and they pinned her to retain the titles. I've certainly seen better from Megan Bayne and Lena Cross. This was not the best outing for any of these 4 women. I will just say that. By the end of it, it was at least a decent match by the end, but this was not great. We had Roosh against, let me see here. What was this guy's name? Steven Fuerte. Want to make sure I get it right. Steven Fuerte. was his opponent here on the show. Poor Stephen Fuerte, he wanted a handshake from Roosh. I don't know why you would expect him to shake your hand. He didn't. And instead, Roosh just wrecked him with a right hand. And they ended up on the floor. Roosh was just stomping the fuck out of this guy, just kicking the shit out of him. And then got him back in the ring, and he gave him the bull's horns. And that was it. It was short work for Roosh, who then got on the mic, and he was saying some stuff in Spanish. And then he ended with, when you mess with the bull, you get the horns. So look, I could get behind more Roosh television time here on this show. That's great. I think that Roosh would make a great challenger in the not too distant future for one Kevin Knight for the TNT title. That's what I think. But he is someone who I would like to see more of on this show. Hopefully we get to see more of him on this show. Like last week, for example, last week we had Lio Rush, right? Lio Rush had that match with Brody King. Some people may not be a fan of this whole gimmick that Lio Rush is doing. I like it because it's at least something different. He's clearly committed to it. It's kind of creepy, and I just wish they would have taken, more effort and care to try to explain to us exactly why he has descended into madness. If you want to do some sort of vignette, do a vignette. I'm not saying you have to just do a sit-down, serious interview with the guy. And they didn't do that. He literally just showed up on Dynamite last week, which he never shows up on. And he wrestled Brody King and he lost. And then he wasn't on the show tonight. He probably won't be on the show next week. So it was basically like a one-off. And again, you're not going to get over that way. So I don't know if Tony Khan is serious about pushing him with that gimmick or not. Roosh is somebody who we should be seeing more on Dynamite. We should see him more on the A show because he's really good. I hope we do. But I wonder if he'll fall into the same category as Lio Rush, where it's like, you'll see him every now and then you won't. And it's like, how do you get over that way? You don't. You really don't. But anyway, so this was just a short squash. As if, again, they were building him up for something. I think that something might be the TNT Championship at some point, or at least a shot at the TNT title. I don't know if he'll win it. But that's what I would do with him. Renee, again, poor Renee. Let this woman rest. She was in the back with the Ops. Samoa Joe is back. Katsuyori Shibata is back from Japan. Hook is there. And the brand new member, the newest addition, the newest recruit for the Ops, if you saw Collision last week, Anthony Bowens. He's in there. He's standing there with the puffer coat on now. He knows how to dress like the rest of the Ops now. And she asked Joe, what's the game plan moving forward? And Joe said, to reassert our dominance. He put over Bowens as someone who's always been overlooked, and now you'll get to see what he's truly capable of. And Hook, meanwhile, is going to become the TNT champion because he has a TNT title match this weekend on Collision with Kevin Knight. And then he turned his attention to Will Ospreay. And he hopes it's not a case of Stockholm Syndrome with him and the Death Riders. He said, look, we got your back when if you need it, you got a choice to make. Apparently Will Ospreay is in great demand here. The Death Riders have recruited him. Now the Ops is putting an invitation out there. Soon the Hurt Syndicate is going to want to recruit Will Ospreay. What a trio that would be, huh? Bobby Lashley, Shelton Benjamin, and Will Ospreay. It'd be like Owen in The Nation. I think it could work. Anthony Bowens joining the Ops, in the grand scheme, I don't know that him joining the Ops is going to necessarily be the thing that vaults him to the next level in AEW. I'm happy that they're actually doing something with the guy. It's impossible for me to believe that him or Max Caster were thrilled about AEW not really getting behind them when they initially split them. Because they didn't really, in the end, they didn't really do much with them as singles. And I'm sure they were hopeful and maybe they had their own ideas. It didn't work out. I don't know if they're going to do anything with Max Caster, but Anthony Bowens, he's a talented guy. If adding him to a group like this is going to help kind of elevate his profile by getting him on television more, great. I think that's a good thing. This is the sort of thing that they should be doing. They should be trying to elevate younger stars who are currently not being used or not being used to their full potential, right? Find something for them to do on the show and get behind them. And not everybody is going to become a Kyle Fletcher. Not everybody is going to make it to that level. But whether it's an Anthony Bowens or whether it's a Kevin Knight or somebody else, this is the sort of thing that they need to do. Pick certain people that you would like to shine a spotlight on and just invest in them and give them the opportunity to go out there and show what they can do. And if they sink, they sink. And if they swim, they swim. And you've made a new star. But I think someone like Bowens and even Caster, they didn't get a fair shake the first time. Actually, Caster was getting over with that dumb open challenge gimmick. But again, it didn't go anywhere. Why would you squander that? Do something meaningful with these people. Stokely Hathaway was backstage. And he was with FTR, and he said that he just left Tony Khan's office and he has a proposition for Orange Cassidy. Next week on Dynamite, it'll be Orange Cassidy against Dax Harwood. And if Cassidy wins, he can challenge for the tag team titles. Pick a partner, it doesn't matter who. Probably Roddy. And you can go after the tag team belts. But if Dax wins, then FTR can challenge for the trios titles, which is just what we need, by the way. More champions that have one set of titles now challenging for another set of titles. The trios titles, by the way, the most meaningless, useless pieces of tin in the entire company. But if Dax wins, they will partner up with Tommaso Ciampa. And they will go after the conglomeration and their trios titles. Ciampa walks in. And he says that for the last time he teamed with FTR, he put Mark Briscoe on the shelf indefinitely. And next time, they are going to win the trios titles. This all just feels very forced to me. And anything involving the trios titles, it's almost impossible for me to give a shit because the trios titles don't mean anything. The trios titles are completely useless. They really are. So, I don't care. But the main event had Darby Allin defending the AEW World Championship against Brody King. So Darby hit Brody with a shotgun drop kick right at the start here. Darby hit an early suicide dive. He comes flying out of the ring. He bounces into Brody. Brody doesn't even move. Darby bounces off of him like a rubber ball and just falls to the ground. And then Brody just looks into the camera and he barks. It was like something out of a cartoon. Literally like he ran into a wall and just went splat. So they show Kevin Knight in the crowd with his TNT title over his shoulder, standing there and watching the match. Then they cut to the back. They showed MJF was watching the match very intently on TV. So late in the match, Darby avoided a cannonball, and Brody ended up crashing through the barricade outside. They ended up on top of the announce desk, and Darby was able to kind of wiggle his way out of something that King was attempting. He gave Brody a code red on top of the announce desk, and Brody's a big guy, and the table did not break. So Brody regained the advantage, and he was just destroying this little fucker. But he kept kicking out, which made Brody very mad. So he launches Darby over the top, and he actually hit the cameraman on the way down. So now Brody is outside, and he's dragging Darby, and Darby is clawing at like the edge of the padding, the protective padding outside. And as he's being dragged, he's pulling the padding up to expose the concrete underneath. So he gets Darby up against the barricade, and he backs up as far as he can go. And he comes charging in, gets a running head start, and he goes for a cannonball. Darby moves out of the way, and Brody crashes through the barricade and into the crowd. So Darby goes ahead, he exposes more of the concrete out there on the floor, and he ends up on the apron. Brody is up there with him. Darby slides out underneath him. and he manages to, I think it was a sunset bomb, but he power bombs Brody onto the exposed concrete outside. Then Darby races up to the top rope, and all the way to the floor on the exposed concrete, he delivers a coffin drop to Brody King. So King ended up barely breaking the count back into the ring in not like 9.9. And he slides into the ring. He's laying on his stomach. Darby comes off the top with a coffin drop to the back. Brody rolls over at that point. Darby goes back up, hits a proper coffin drop, covers him, and gets the pin to retain the AEW World title. When the match is over, the announcers, they mentioned that Kevin Knight, he better not look past Hook on Collision this weekend because they're going to meet for the TNT Championship. And also the match has been made official. On Dynamite next week, it will be Kevin Knight one-on-one with Darby Allin for the AEW World Championship. King got up and Brody shook hands with Darby. Darby went to the ropes. He looked up at Kevin Knight in the crowd, kind of looking in his direction. Challengers everywhere. And that is how Dynamite went off the air tonight. It was a good main event. You know what you're going to get in a Brody King and Darby Allin match. Darby is just going to get destroyed for most of it. So it was exactly what I expected it to be. They had a good match. I got to go, though, with Kevin Knight and MJF. That was my favorite match of the show. I thought they had a very strong opening match. Again, I see where they're going with this as far as the Darby stuff, losing the title back to MJF. I'm almost positive it'll happen on the 24th. I like how they've at least been able to find a way to work Kevin Knight into this whole thing. We know he's going to lose next week. He's not going to win the World Championship. I'm not advocating for that, but we should get a very good match out of it. I just like the fact that he's hanging with all of these people, because by doing that, the longer that goes on for, or the more, kind of prominent names he gets to hang around and work with on this show, it just sends a message to people. Like, this is how you should view somebody like him. So I like that. He's not going to win every single match necessarily, but I like how they've managed to kind of rope him into this. The Ospreay and Moxley stuff, I'm intrigued. I want to see where the story goes. I think it's leading to a place that ultimately will send Moxley to the main event at Wembley Stadium. To get there, we have to bridge that gap. To get there, this is the story that they are telling with him. He had that big match with Moxley. He was out for blood. He was out for revenge, and he fucking lost, right? And his neck has betrayed him. Half the time, he can't even get cleared to get in the ring. So he is giving himself up to Jon Moxley and the Death Riders to try to find the best version of himself. I'm sure somebody watching this right now will have some sort of movie analogy, some movie I've not seen, that will you'll find some sort of comparison for this. I mentioned the whole Stockholm Syndrome thing even before Joe mentioned it, because that's kind of how it comes off. He's like bonding with his captors. And so this is going to be the story until we get to the Owen final. I do predict. That is my prediction. The rest of the show was fine. I mean, it was solid. I wouldn't say it was anything great. But it was fine. It was completely inoffensive. Next week, though, we're getting 3 hours, because we have 2 hours of Dynamite back to back with an hour of Collision. Kill me now. Here I am celebrating the death of 3-hour SmackDown sometime in the next few weeks. We still don't have a date on that. But it sounds like the era of 3-hour SmackDowns, at least until next year, is coming to an end. And now I've got to deal with 3 hours of Dynamite on Wednesday. It's terrible. Terrible. Should not have 3 hours of wrestling. Say it all the time. But this sports schedule, the NCAA stuff or whatever it is, it's going to wreak havoc. I think this is going to happen multiple times in the month of May. With these 3-hour blocks. Oh, joy. All right, let's get to your super chats here. Dry Chicken, I see you. Says, when it comes to wrestling MJF, you have to fight fire with fire. That's what the baby faces are doing. They're hitting him in the dick. They're kicking him in the dick. They're giving it right back to him. Yeah, Mad Max, he was at the show. It came across great on TV. Very hot crowd, especially for that opening match. Kind of died in the middle for some of the stuff, but some of the stuff in the middle died, so it only makes sense. But crowd was very loud. That's what happens when you have at least 5,000 people in the building instead of 2,000. Although, to be fair, there have been some AEW crowds that have been very small, but very loud. It just depends on the city they're in. But there is a difference between having a crowd of 2,500 people and having a crowd of 5,200. You know, which is what they had tonight. Cult Meetup. We got Edge and Christian versus RPG Vice before GTA 6. Yeah. Do you still think it's coming out in November? Because I don't. I'm expecting another delay. Dry Chicken says Asuka versus Io Sky at Backlash will be the most boring, mundane, non-strong style match on that show. Will they prove him wrong? I love Asuka and Io, but if only Chef Shawn Michaels was in charge of the main roster, he would add some more drama and some suspense. Well, look, Asuka and Io Sky, regardless of what's going on with the story, I think they could be counted on to at least have a very good match. It's at least a guaranteed very good match if they have time. Okay, none of this 7-minute, 6-minute bullshit. If they get time, then they will have a very good match. Give me back shots, Solomonster. Would you let me give you a hug if I see you in public, or if you see me in public? No. No. Dry Chicken, it's time for Roosh to collect AEW Gold, TNT title, national title, international title, continental title, world title. I don't think we have enough titles, guys. I think we may need more titles. Yeah, I mean, my vote would go with the TNT title. That gets my vote. Reload the page here, refresh. See who else we got. We got a couple more. Chicago 4 MBK, thank you for the $2. Dev to Dust. Thoughts on Joe Buck's commentary in baseball? I mean, you know, he's fine. He's fine. Not like my all-time favorite already. He's no Gary Cohen, but he's fine. Big Hoss says, buy Will Cruz stock solo. He's Cena Styles approved. Will Cruz, is he that new guy from NXT? I haven't seen too much of him yet. I think they debuted like 11 fucking people in one night in NXT. It's hard to keep track of all these new faces that they kind of threw out there in one night. They basically hit the reset button, which they kind of have to because there's a lot of call-ups. I get it. They're losing Ricky Saints and Ethan Page and Blake Monroe and Fatal Attraction and who else are they? Sol Ruka. So they have to hit the reset button. That's why Evil is now in NXT, although not by that name. Evil has arrived. And Alex says, apparently the Saudis are advertising Bobby. Tell me that isn't the scariest fucking thing you've ever heard. I'm almost afraid to continue here. Apparently the Saudis are advertising Bobby Lashley for Night of Champions. Just unreal shit. Well, I'm not surprised. I mean, these are the folks that wanted Yokozuna to be on that first Saudi show, 7 or 8 years ago. Who wants to tell them? We have EJ Slim Buy or sell. Nikki Bella versus Aja Kong or JC Jane versus Manami Toyota. See, I know that all you sickos out there, you would love to see Aja Kong against Nikki Bella, and Nikki Bella would not survive that match. However, JC Jane against Manami Toyota is going to get my vote. I actually think that that would be a very good match. Don Stoney, first time in the Solomonster live chat, enjoying the show. Thank you, Don Stoney. I'm glad you are enjoying yourself. And Tuxedo T Servo says, "At least we still have this." Yes, the KAAAIIRRRIII super chat is actually very sad now. It makes me very sad. The only time you're ever going to hear that again is on the sound off. This is it. It's the only place you can get it now. Oh, very sad. But we are at 518 likes, and the goal tonight, per the wheel, was 400. So we have eclipsed the goal, believe it or not. And we are going to go ahead and be the book. It doesn't always happen here on Wednesdays. Wednesdays can be very hit or miss. Not like the WWE streams. But we are going to be the booker, so let's go ahead. Let's do it.
Gentlemen, it is now time to be the booker.
Let's do it. Oh, Antioch. Good to see you, my friend. I hope you enjoyed the review. Let's get into this Be the Booker here. We've had some interesting choices that we have landed on recently. I would love to get a clean sweep tonight. I would love to give bells and not buzzers for all of these matches. So I'm putting some good energy out there here. I have a good feeling about this. Or maybe not. I don't know. Have you seen... Okay. I don't want to date myself here, but there was a period... I don't know if they still do this or not, but there was a period of time where when there was like a child missing, they would put their face on the side of a milk carton. I don't know if that's still a thing anymore. Any kind of milk carton that I've bought, I mean, I have like, almond milk and stuff like that I can have. I've never seen anyone's face on the side of it. But we might have to make an exception for these two men. Where the fuck are the Creed brothers? I mean, where the hell did they disappear to? I have no idea, but well, they've disappeared here to be the booker. I'm doing a better job of booking them than WWE is. You know what I think killed the Creeds? It's when Brutus Creed hurt Damian Priest, and they have not been the same since. The Creed brothers against the Smoking Guns. Man, I was looking for a star attraction here for this tag team match. You gave me the Smoking Guns against the Creeds. What are you doing? That's a Coliseum video match. What are you doing to me? What are we doing here? We have to have better luck with the women's match, please. Can we? Okay. We have Alexa Bliss. Now, I don't know if you saw, Alexa Bliss did a cameo video for a fan. It was actually a very well done cameo video, and she took the time to talk to this person. But she mentioned that the Dark Alexa character is officially retired. So you will not see her as Dark Alexa again because she feels like it's connected to Bray, and so to preserve that, it's only appropriate that she leave that in the past. So this will be the only time that you see Dark Alexa will be here and be the booker. Let's get a drum roll going here, find out who her opponent is going to be. We give you 500 likes on a Wednesday, and this is the tag team match you give. I didn't give you anything. I mean, this thing has a mind of its own. Lita. Lita and Be the Booker. I like that match. Yeah, no, Lita and Alexa, that's a quality match right there. All right, so a little bit of a recovery there. But it's all how you finish. How are we going to finish this out? Let's find out. Ooh, you saw him at the beginning of the review. I was playing a little clip from the match I did commentary for. Andrade against Amazing Red from our first LA show back in January. Man, that match was a banger. I just showed you a little tease at the beginning of the stream tonight. The full match is over on the House of Glory YouTube channel for free. You can go watch it right now. Well, not right now, but when we're done here. Andrade El Idolo is going to be in our main event. Against Jushin Thunder Liger. How's that for a match? How's that for a match? Andrade and Liger. Hell yeah. So we went 2 for 3. All right. It's not a sweep, but we ended up doing okay. We ended up doing okay. You know what? You guys came through tonight. You guys came through tonight on the likes. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do. We're going to do a bonus round of Be the Booker. Just for you guys hanging around here and killing it on the likes here on a Wednesday. We're going to run it back. I'm going to pull a Jey Uso on you. And I'm going to run it back. Only this time you're actually going to enjoy it. And we're going to start with some stipulations. We're going to add some stips to these matches. That's what we're going to do. We're going to have ourselves a first blood match. Let's write a bonus round for all of you. All right, we're going to have ourselves a first blood tag team match. First team to bleed loses. That's how it works. Those are the rules. FTR, the reigning AEW Tag Team Champions, have graced... Oh, well, we already know who's losing this match. Fucking Dax. He's like Flair. If you breathe on him, he starts bleeding. I don't think this match is going 3 minutes. First blood match. Oh, wow. FTR against The Shield. Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. See, now tell me those belts right there in that image aren't belts that you would fight for. Those are belts worth fighting for. Those are what tag team title belts are supposed to look like. Our women's match. We need a stipulation. Monsters Ball. Oh, I hope we get some tough ladies in this match because those Monsters Ball matches are pretty brutal. You got to have the right women in a match like this. They have to be able to wrestle the hardcore style. Well, I don't know about this one. Ariana Grace. Not somebody who I would think would be, for example, in a Hollywood ending type match like Toni Storm and Mariah May had. I don't see Ariana Grace doing well in a match like that. I already don't like where this is going. I already know the button I'm pushing. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on now. This changes everything. This is the perfect stipulation for this woman. Tekla. Which means we need a tiebreaker. We have to add one woman to this match and see if we get a bell or a buzzer. Because Tekla alone, Tekla would love a Monsters Ball match. Ariana Grace, I mean, she'd be in the corner in the fetal position crying. We're gonna pick one more woman. We're gonna make it a triple threat. See, Tekla changes everything about that. We're definitely giving this the bell. Holy shit. Now, you talk about tough ladies. What did I say before I even took the first spin? I said, man, I hope we land on some really tough women in this match. And I land on Mae Young. Holy shit, dude. Mae Young and Tekla. These women are going to beat the living shit out of each other. It's going to be glorious. And Ariana Grace is just going to sit in the corner and watch, and she'll pick the bones after they kill each other. Somehow that's even better. Yeah. Oh my God. Well, that saved it. Mae Young is like, yeah, bring it on. Bring it on, Sonny. Bring it on. And the main event is going to be a Lion's Den match. Yeah, Ariana Grace is going to win. She's going to steal the pin. She's going to win that match. We got the Lion's Den. All right, here we go. Who's walking into the Lion's Den? This should be good. Jeff Hardy is going to be in the... Because when I think of the Lion's Den, when I think of an MMA-style cage match, I think of Jeff Hardy. That's who I think of. Ooh, this is not going to end well for poor Jeff Hardy over here. Jeff Hardy and Braun Breaker in a Lion's Den match. I'm picking the Steiner to win. That's who I'm picking. Poor Jeff. Jeff does have a new submission move. Well, it's not going to be enough to save him, unfortunately. Poor Jeff Hardy. All right, we got some more super chats here because we stayed long. So now we got some more messages to read. I love it. I love it. This is the last stream of the week, by the way. So if you got questions and super chats, get them on in. I'm not going to be here Friday night. I'm going to be in Los Angeles. I'm going to be doing commentary, play-by-play, live on Triller TV. Hey, Jason Vega, welcome. You're joining at just the right time. I'm telling everybody about the great House of Glory show on Friday night. And I'll be in the booth. We got, speaking of Amazing Red and Speedball Mike Bailey for the first time on that show. We're bringing Jonathan Gresham in to challenge Charles Mason for the HOG World title. Thunder Rosa's making her debut. We got Zilla Fatu defending his title. It's going to be a hell of a night. So this will be the final stream of the week. We got EJ Slemp says, serious question. When Shingo Takagi retires, will he be remembered more for Dragon Gate or New Japan? And if he came stateside, which company fits him best? Which company fits him best? Probably AEW. Which company will he be remembered more? I mean, he spent more time in Dragon Gate, obviously. Me personally, I'll remember him more for New Japan because I just wasn't following all of his Dragon Gate stuff. If you're a Dragon Gate fan, you probably would say Dragon Gate because he spent so many years there. Yep, we got Thunder Rosa's coming in. She's going to be wrestling Brittany Brooks. It's going to be a good one. We got Crazy Wrestling. Cody and the Judgment Day before Mania 40. You would have been intrigued. How you are with Ospreay joining the Death Riders before all in be impartial. What does that mean? What does that even mean? The Judgment Day is not even a main event faction in this company. I'm not even sure what comparison you're trying to make here. One doesn't have anything to do with the other. It's like people fish around for reasons like, I don't like this, so therefore nobody can like this. Like, come on, dude. They're actually telling a story of some sort with Will Ospreay. When they don't tell a story, they bitch they're not telling a story. When they start telling a story that's first playing out, oh, I can't believe they're doing this. Which is it? It's like a no-win. It's like a no-win situation. Alex says, if HOG ran a show at Wembley Stadium on the same weekend as WrestleMania, which show are you covering? WrestleMania. You got to go where the numbers are going to be. The overall interest is going to be in WrestleMania. It would be a terrible move on AEW's part to do that. Don't do that. That would be a terrible move. Because even though it might blow WrestleMania away in terms of in-ring, I have no doubt that it would. That would be a horrible decision on AEW's part. Ryan says, thank you, Solo. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you. And Devin with a $9.99. Thank you, Devin. Did Will Smith tank his career with the Oscar slap, or can he still be an A-list actor in the future? No, he didn't tank his career. I mean, why? Just because he can't appear at the Oscars for like 10 years or whatever it is? Like, who gives a shit? It doesn't stop him from going out and making quality films. I don't think he's necessarily hurting for work. He's not blackballed. Of course he can still be an A-list actor. I was just watching the other day on one of the channels, that movie Enemy of the State came on with him and Gene Hackman. I always liked that movie. So I was watching that again.
I have one pair of skinny jeans, and I'm going to wear them every week just to piss you off.
Hey, Big Dave. With the skinny jeans. Alex says, sorry, I meant AEW, not HOG. Oh, it's funny. I read your super chat as AEW. So yeah, I didn't even realize you had said HOG. HOG is not running Wembley Stadium. And if they tried to, I would advise him against it. I would say, don't do that. That is a terrible decision. You are going to lose your ass if you try to run Wembley Stadium. Thank you, Alex. Will Smith can make Oscar-worthy movies and still not attend. Yeah, I mean, that's boss, man. He can make a quality film and say, I'm not showing up. I don't give a shit. That's a boss move. Solo, did you see Batman 2022? I have not. However, I am flying to Los Angeles on Friday, and I have it loaded up on my iPad. I have it downloaded offline in the HBO Max app. So I think my plan is, I never saw the Mortal Kombat movie from 5 years ago. Like, I saw the original from the 90s. I actually stayed away from the Mortal Kombat movie from 2021 because people told me that it was terrible. So I never saw it. But now that I'm going to see the new one, I kind of feel like for continuity, I think I probably have to see the one from 5 years ago. So I'm going to watch that on the flight in. And then on the flight home, I'm going to watch the Batman. So Friday or Saturday, I should finally see the Batman. And then I can report back to you. This movie is 2 hours and 56 minutes long. I finally found a way to kill time on a 6-hour flight. I can watch the Batman. This fucking movie is so long, it will kill literally half of my flight from LA back to New York. But hey, that's okay with me. Don't watch it. Well, even if the Mortal Kombat movie is terrible, this one looks really good, this new one. So that's okay. If this one is terrible, then the new one will look that much better when I go see it. Yeah, Clayface looks amazing. I almost don't want to watch the proper trailer because that was just a teaser trailer, and it looks incredible. So when the official trailer drops, I almost like don't want to watch it. I want to try to avoid it because they give so much away in these trailers. Sometimes they give the whole fucking movie away. That teaser trailer was just creepy enough to where I kind of want to keep it creepy, where I don't fully know what's going on in the movie. But I'll probably cave and end up watching it anyway. Chicago 4 MBK, have a great rest of your week. Thank you, brother. You too. Yeah, there's a lot of work to do, a lot of stuff going on before I head out on Friday, and then I come back pretty late on Saturday, and then I got to turn around and do the show on Sunday. I have no idea how prepared I'll be, but we will be doing Backlash predictions. So even though we don't have the full card yet, I will be doing Backlash predictions on the podcast on Sunday, talking about the news of the week. Actually, there's a lot of Nick Khan quotes to talk about and to get into from this town hall that WWE had the other day. So we'll talk about that as well. But yeah, it's going to be a very busy week and weekend. So thank you guys for hanging out with me. Final stream of the week. I appreciate it. Again, if you have not already checked it out, my full thoughts on the Hulk Hogan Netflix docuseries is up right now, 30 minutes. The review is up on the channel. Go check that out, as well as all the other content, the Raw review from the other nights, the latest installment of the Uncrowned Wrestling show as well. That went up yesterday. Got some good feedback off that. You guys know where to go to find that. There's always a link, by the way, in these videos here. Down below in the description, there's always a link to the main Sound Off podcast link and for the Uncrowned Wrestling show, if you're wondering where to go. Hey, Jay Vargas, what's going on? He says, I lost my grandmother this past Monday at 98 years old due to natural causes, and I do miss her dearly. Plus, I was crying yesterday and dealing with grief. I'm very sorry to hear about your grandmother. I mean, I can't, unfortunately, can't relate in my family because so many of the people in my family didn't even make it out of their freaking 50s, let alone like 60s. Sounds like your grandmother lived a nice long life, and it's going to suck for a while. It's a shitty feeling. I'm very sorry to hear that. Anyway, be well. Stay safe. And come on back on Monday, I guess, is the next time I'll be here live on the channel. And we'll see you this weekend for the Sound Off as well. And hopefully I get to see some of you in LA. I don't get out to LA very often. Hopefully you will be there at the House of Glory show. There's still some limited tickets available. General admission, general standing room only in the balcony as well. No seats, but there's some standing room only available. So come on down and we'll shake hands and we'll hang out for a little bit. I'll see you guys then. Until then, take care.
Oh, you got me, brother.